Now I saw in my dream, that when Obstinate was gone back, Christian and Pliable went talking over the plain, and thus they began their discourse. Come, neighbor Pliable, how do you do? Asked Christian. I am glad you are persuaded to go along with me. Had even Obstinate himself but felt what I have felt, of the powers and terrors of what is yet unseen, he would not so lightly have given us the back. Come, neighbor Christian, Pliable responded, since there is none but us two here, tell me now further what the things are and how to be enjoyed whither we are going. I can better conceive of them with my mind than speak of them with my tongue. But yet since you are desirous to know, I will read of them in my book, replied Christian. And do you think that the words of your book are certainly true? Pliable asked. Yes, verily, for it was made by him that cannot lie, Christian stated. Well said. What things are they? His neighbor asked. There is an endless kingdom to be inhabited, said Christian, and everlasting life to be given us, that we may inhabit that kingdom forever. Well said. And what else? Pliable asked. There are crowns of glory to be given us, and garments that will make us shine like the sun in the firmament of heaven, replied Christian. 'Tis is very pleasant. And what else? Pliable asked again. Christian said, There shall be no more crying nor sorrow, for he that is owner of the place will wipe all tears from our eyes. And what company shall we have there? Pliable said. There we shall be with seraphims, and cherubims, creatures that will dazzle your eyes to look on them, Christian responded. There also you shall meet with thousands and 10,000s that have gone before us to that place. None of them are hurtful, but loving and holy, everyone walking in the sight of God, and standing in his presence with acceptance forever. In a word, there we shall see the elders with their golden crowns. There we shall see the holy virgins with their golden harps. There we shall see men that by the world were cut in pieces, burnt in flames, eaten of beasts, drowned in the seas, for the love that they bear to the Lord of the place, all well and clothed with immortality as with a garment. The hearing of this is enough to ravish one's heart, but are these things to be enjoyed? How shall we get to be sharers thereof? Asked Pliable. The Lord, the governor of the country, hath recorded that in this book, the substance of which is if we be truly willing to have it, he will bestow it upon us freely, responded Christian. Well, my good companion, Pliable said, glad am I to hear of these things. Come on, let us mend our pace. Christian replied, I cannot go so fast as I would by reason of this burden that is on my back. Now I saw in my dream, that just as they had ended this talk, they drew near to a very miry slough that was in the midst of the plain, and they being heedless, did both fall suddenly into the bog. The name of the slough was Despond. Here therefore, they wallowed for a time, being grievously bedaubed with the dirt, and Christian, because of the burden that was on his back, began to sink in the mire. Then said Pliable, Ah, neighbor Christian, where are you now? Truly, said Christian, I do not know. At that Pliable began to be offended, and angrily said to his fellow, Is this the happiness you have told me all this while of? If we have such ill speed at our first setting out, what may we expect betwixt this and our journey's end? May I get out again with my life, you shall possess the brave country alone for me. And with that he gave a desperate struggle or two, and got out of the mire on that side of the slough which was next to his own house. So away he went, and Christian saw him no more. Wherefore Christian was left to tumble in the Slough of Despond alone. But still he endeavored to struggle to that side of the slough that was still further from his own house, and next to the wicket gate, the which he did but could not get out, because of the burden that was upon his back. But I beheld in my dream, that a man came to him, whose name was Help, and asked him what he did there. Sir, said Christian, I was bid go this way by a man called Evangelist, who directed me also to yonder gate, that I might escape the wrath to come. And as I was going thither, I fell in here. But why did not you look for the steps? Asked Help. Fear followed me so hard, that I fled the next way, and fell in, Christian replied. Then, said Help, give me your hand. So he gave him his hand, and he drew him out, and set him upon sound ground, and bid him go on his way. Then I stepped to him that plucked him out and said, Sir, wherefore, since over this place is the way from the city of destruction to yonder gate, is it that this plat is not mended, that poor travellers might go thither with more security? And he said unto me, This miry slough is such a place as cannot be mended. It is the descent whither the scum and filth that attends conviction for sin does continually run, and therefore it is called the Slough of Despond, for still, as the sinner is awakened about his lost condition, there arises in his soul many fears, and doubts, and discouraging apprehensions, which all of them get together, and settle in this place. And this is the reason of the badness of this ground. It is not the pleasure of the king that this place should remain so bad. His labourers also have, by the directions of his Majesty's surveyors, been for above these 1,600 years, employed about this patch of ground, if perhaps it might have been mended, yea, and to my knowledge, said he, here have been swallowed up at least 20,000 cartloads, yea, millions of wholesome instructions, that have at all seasons been brought from all places of the king's dominions, and they that can tell, say they, are the best materials to make good ground of the place. If so be, it might have been mended, but it is the Slough of Despond still, and so will be when they have done what they can. True, there are by the direction of the lawgiver, certain good and substantial steps, placed even through the very midst of this slough, but at such time as this place does much spew out its filth, as it does against change of weather, these steps are hardly seen, or if they be, men, through the dizziness of their heads, step besides, and then they are bemired to purpose, notwithstanding the steps be there. But the ground is good, when they are once gotten at the gate. Now I saw in my dream, that by this time, Pliable was got home to his house again, so that his neighbours came to visit him, and some of them called him a wise man for coming back, and some called him a fool for hazarding himself with Christian. Others again did mock at his cowardliness, saying, Surely, since you began to venture, I would not have been so base to have given out for a few difficulties. So Pliable sat sneaking among them. But at last he got more confidence, and then they all turned their tails, and began to deride poor Christian behind his back. And thus much concerning Pliable.